Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back indeed to some more Diablo 2 Resurrected. So, in this part of our walkthrough and guide, our point in this video is to mainly show off the upgrades that are available. Keep in mind, you don't have to get all of these immediately, but it's just some sort of a suggestion. And since we've already completed the campaign, I'm not going to walk you through doing, Act 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but I will mention the important quests in the pinned comment. It's the exact same thing. So what we're going to do now is just go through all of the acts, just like we did, so we can get to Hell difficulty, which will basically have better items and drops. I'll go over some of the mechanics that we will need to go ahead and show off. The first thing I want to do is show you guys how to craft the spirit, as we are going to be adding sockets. So actually just save this video just so we would have access to it later. Let me go ahead and just share a screen so you guys can go ahead and see exactly what we're doing. So it's the quest in Act 5. I just recorded this so I could just kind of show you guys it really fast because I've already crafted it. So it's just like crafting any other rune word. However, this one we're going to be adding sockets. Now if you need to get a crystal sword, it doesn't have to be superior. It just needs to be a white crystal sword or a gray one that already has the sockets enabled on it. And we're going to take it to Lazarus. This is in Act 5 when we complete the quest that I mentioned in our previous part. We showed off how to actually get this quest completed. But you just go to him, you click on add sockets, you get your item, and then you go ahead and throw it in, and you hit add sockets, and it's going to give you 4 sockets. Remember, it has to be a crystal sword from the cows or one that will be enough in the item level department. But for the most part, just to make it easy, just get it in cows, and we are going to be crafting with it. So basically, that's what we did to craft our weapon. Before we were using Leaf, which was still a great weapon, but now we've kind of evolved into better gear. So what we are going to do is we're going to be crafting a spirit on a shield as well as in our weapon. So keep in mind that if you guys don't have some of these runes at the moment, it's totally fine. If you need to get more runes, all you would do is you do the Countess, once again just to keep up on a refresher. That is in Act 1, the Black Marsh, and you're going to be going to the Forgotten Tower. You just kill the Countess, and you will be able to get some runes. It's random on what you get, but we already did a few farms of this, so I'm not going to show you guys exactly the same content that I've shown you guys already. But pretty much, we're just looking for some upgrades here, and that's just one important upgrade. We're going to get it on a shield as well, but the reason why I like to get Spirit earlier on a Crystal Sword, just to get the extra faster cast as well as plus to all skills, and then we can throw in a shield. If you happen to get this, is like an item that's pretty common, is the Saigon's Guard. It just grants you +1 to skills. What you're looking to get on most of your pieces of gear now is +2 skills as a Sorceress, especially as a hybrid one. It's optional if you want to go hybrid. Like I mentioned before, I did pin, and I'll do it in this one as well, pin in the comments, a full build guide that shows you like the end game of a Fireball / Meteor Sorceress. However, you can hybrid it out. I'm going to leave it kind of open to you. In fact, in Diablo, the damage is pretty generous, even on Nightmare difficulty, for a Fireball Sorceress to go kind of hybrid. The reason why you need to kind of go hybrid is because you're going to be meeting monsters that are immune to a very specific damage type. I personally really like Frozen Orb because you can cast it on left click, but a lot of people also like Blizzard, and I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. And I'm just going to show you both of the skills so you can decide for yourself which one that you'd like to use. It's kind of up to you, although I wouldn't really recommend going Lightning. That's another option. So here's what Blizzard looks like. Now both of these skills will have a cooldown. So that's Blizzard. It's basically almost like a damage over time that kind of goes from above. And you'll see the enemies, once they're in blue, they'll be a lot slower. In addition to that, this is going to be one of my favorite skills in the game. This is called Frozen Orb. It's up to you on what you want to use. I think Frozen Orb is way better for clearing out trash, but Blizzard is a little bit better for bosses, especially if they kind of sit still. There's more synergies with Blizzard, so let me go and open up the skill tree and kind of show you what I put my points into. Now, you don't have to put points into everything. I just put a point into like everything because I kind of want to just see them. But what you can do is, if you want to respec, it's totally fine. You can respec 3 times, so if you waste one of them, it's no big deal. But you can reset over at Akara. You click on this and you just hit OK. It's going to reset all of your stats and skill points, so you guys can choose what you want to actually use. Now, I won't recommend putting 1 skill point to everything, but it's just so I can kind of show you guys some of the skills. How Blizzard usually works when people want to go pure Blizzard is they will use the Glacial Spike or Ice Blast in addition with the Blizzard, because Blizzard just takes a long time for it to really go off, and there's a cooldown in between, so you can still kind of use certain things. But here's Glacial Spike. So you'll throw down Blizzard, and then you'll throw down Glacial Spike as you're waiting for the cooldown to reset. The reason why I personally prefer Frozen Orb is I like it for cleaning up trash, but also it can be bound to left click. If you're playing controller, then this doesn't matter, but it is a huge thing for people that do want to hybrid out because it makes things so much easier. So remember, you're going to do all the quests all over again. That means the Den of Evil is the important one in Act 1, and I'll have all these pinned. So you might, let's see if you can maybe find one. You'll run to monsters that are immune to fire or immune to one damage type. So if that does happen, you'll have access to, right now I'm just spec'd for cold and fire. However, I did put some points in lightning. I like to get Thunderstorm earlier on, and I like to respec out of it. The reason why I like Thunderstorm, it's just a buff. Now, right now it only lasts for 64 seconds, but as we get more plus to skills, this will last a little bit longer, and I'm going to show you what it does. So it just has a little lightning that comes down every few seconds, and it just does small amounts of damage. It's not like big. The thing with lightning damage in Diablo, as well as in actually lots of action RPGs, it has a large range. So like 81 to 277, that's pretty big, right? It's almost like triple damage on a good hit versus a bad hit. So you can spec out to what you want. Like, I wouldn't put a bunch of points into Thunderstorm. I just like it because I don't have to monitor it, and it just kind of hits things, and you can just one-shot smaller enemies. But again, I end up respecking out of it. It's just something earlier on that if you wanted to, you can kind of see my tree over here. Basically, we put some extra points into specifically Frozen Orb, but you can do Blizzard as well. It's kind of up to you. Or if you don't want to spec out for like multi-classing or multi-skill trees, what you can do is play in a group. That's kind of your option. Play in a group because your Mercenary right now is not going to be strong enough. Going over other things that we can craft. Remember, if you need to get more runes, the Countess is your go-to, but we're also going to be crafting a new piece of armor. So the helmet is called Lore. It's an Ort and a Soul Rune. Remember, you guys got to put it in the same exact order. This is what we're using for our helm. This is the Spirit Sword, so it's Tal, Thol, Ort, and these are all really easy runes to get. Now, we're also going to be crafting a new armor. The new armor, it's not the easiest to get to because you need to basically farm a bunch of runes or get really lucky and get a Lum rune. And what we're going to do is put a Neph rune and a Lum rune. And I'll also include the rune list for the upgrades because I'm going to be needing to upgrade. So we're going to take a few of these IO runes and make a Lum rune. We also need to actually throw in a flawed topaz. So what we're going to do, and this is the first time we're showing this off as well, we're going to put in 3 chipped topazes, or if you already have a flawed topaz, you can already just use that. But I do need it for this. So yeah, to craft this, we need 3 IOs, so that's going to be this. We need 3 of these, and we're doing like kind of a rune upgrade here. We're going to put in the flawed topaz, and then we're going to hit transmute, and then now we have our Lum rune. So the rune word for this, and I'll also include the armors that you want to craft out of. So the armor that we're going to be crafting is called Smoke, and it just requires a Neph and a Lum rune. And what it does is grants us a huge amount to resistances. As you increase the difficulty in Diablo, your resistances become negative. So what we're going to do now, and we'll go over stat points. Right now I'm just slamming a bunch into strength because I want the strength requirement for our shield. But we're going to go and craft this. So let's go and throw in inside of, it doesn't really matter the armor as long as you have the requirements. I personally prefer the lighter armors. There's a hidden stat that reduces your stamina, as in it drains your stamina faster, and it will actually make you have slower run walk speed, depending on the armor. You can get different variants of, let me see if I can show you, because this is basically a quilted armor, but it's in the higher difficulty. So it has the same skin as, there's not one in the vendor here, but you'll see some of the same armors, and depending on your character level, the vendor's items will change, but for the most part, it doesn't really matter too much. We're not really interested in the defense as much as we are interested in the actual effect of the resistances. So we're going to go throw a Neph and a Lum, and now we have Smoke. So it's just for the 50 resistances. You can also craft one of these for your Mercenary because they do die quite easily, although I do have pretty decent gear on them, and I'll also show you another important thing to craft on them. So I finally crafted this myself, so now my resistances are much, much better, which is awesome. So that's going to be great for survivability. In terms of our rings, we haven't gotten any upgrades. We're using the same. These gloves, I just found them. There's really nothing special on these. Ideally, I could probably shop for a better pair of gloves. Just anything that has life is ideally what you want. You can get mage fists, they're really nice. I just don't happen to have them right now. I just have this belt that has extra life. It's just the same rings. I haven't really upgraded the boots. These are kind of old too. But the only real upgrades that I can suggest to you guys is get a helm, that has 2 sockets, throw Orton's Soul in it, and you'll get +1 to all skills, and then +10 energy is cute, but it doesn't really matter too much. Amulet's just still the same. This, I actually got someone else just dropped it when I was doing some runs. So I got hooked up with this, and basically it's +1 to all skills, which is great. It's basically a better version of like the other Saigons, but if you need to get a shield, ideally you can get one that has +1 to all skills. There's probably several that exist in the game, but this is just kind of better right now. It's not like an end game thing, so if you happen to have Saigons as a drop, or you can actually run Ancient's Pledge. That's another rune word. Again, I'll have this link down below for the crafting. But if you can get a 3-socket one. Now, you can't get a 4-socket one until Hell, which is going to be a Monarch. One of my buddies just hooked me up with this. I don't have the socket quest done yet, nor do I have the runes ready for this, but it's the exact same. We're going to craft another spirit, and it's going to be great for extra survivability as well. Actually, we just got this. What's this? Okay, this doesn't really matter. But as far as our mercenary goes, a homie hooked me up with this. This is just an armor. It's actually arguably like a pretty decent one because it has cannot be frozen and a bunch of resistances for our mercenary. It actually gives them a decent amount of defense too. But if you want to craft them a smoke armor, you can do that as well. It's just the lum rune that takes a little bit longer to get. You can also upgrade your runes just like I showed you, but as you go higher in the rune tier, it requires gems, but it doesn't really matter. Gems aren't really a form of currency in the game. I also happen to have a worm skull in the helmet of our mercenary. This doesn't really matter too much. It's just the life stolen per hit that's really good on the mercenary. Otherwise, you have to feed them potions. If you hold shift and then whatever number, so if it's shift 1, it will actually give them a potion. That's kind of the hotkey instead of doing this, dragging it over to their face, and then clicking it. So just another tip there. And then on top of that, one important thing is you do want to craft Insight if you can. Get a polearm that happens to have 4 sockets. You can craft, you can get the add sockets if you want to, and just get a item. And you know what, I'm going to also link this down below because this is actually something important. Let me actually just share the screens, as certain polearms and certain things won't be able to roll with like the amount of sockets that you need. Like the Bardiche over here will only roll with 3 because there's multiple things that you can craft on it. It doesn't have to be specifically the one that I have, as in it doesn't have to be a pole axe. It could be several different things, but I'm just giving you guys that knowledge. So the reason why you want to craft what's called Insight, this is another rune word, is because it grants you the meditation aura. So I already mentioned that the Act 2 mercenaries are pretty much the best because of the aura, but on top of that, it's going to give you meditation. So what meditation does is it grants you mana regen, which is really nice. Now this mercenary is from Act 2. He happens to have Holy Freeze. He doesn't activate it because the mercenaries in Diablo 2, they don't really do things that you want a lot of the times. So it's kind of up to you. If you want, you can get a different mercenary. Now we are in Nightmare difficulty. I didn't like show you guys killing Andariel, but that's the exact same thing that you would do from going from Act 1 to Act 2. That's all you guys got to do. But you go over to Greece and you can hire. And one thing that's important, take off all of the gear on your previous mercenary, because if you hire a new one, it will delete all of their gear. So make sure you either throw it on the ground if you want to, or just keep it in your inventory. Like take everything off and then buy the new mercenary.
Put that to good use.
So what you can do if you want to, you can either get Might, because it can grant you extra. Well, it won't grant you extra damage, but if you're playing like a melee character, it can help out. The Thorns are kind of really meh, but the one that most people want to get is the Holy Freeze. Why Holy Freeze is because it slows down the enemies and it just gives you basically more survivability. So that's pretty much what you're going to do with the Mercenary. Remember the important quests, I can actually just go over them real quick. So the Den of Evil is important. That gives you a skill point. In Act 2, you can do the Radamant Slayer. That's the sewers. That gives you another skill point. And then in Act 3, there's the Golden Bird, which gives you extra life. Again, I'll have all these in the pinned comment that are the important quests. to actually get extra stuff. And then on Act 4, you do the Fallen Angel, that's Iswal, that will grant you some extra skill points as well. And then in Act 5, we do the Anya quest once again to get extra resistances. So I've been basically just completing all of the acts all over again. You gotta do them basically the same exact way, but now you'll have teleport and you'll have more tools at your disposal. But another thing to mention is that you can do all of the content in a party and you don't have to worry at all about like the resistances, as you don't need to hybrid out. It's again up to you if you want to do it. Although right now cold is really good, so eventually what I plan to do with this is to make it a pure cold sorceress for PvP with Frozen Orb, because it's just a really great skill. But play around with whatever skill that you want. I don't think there's any other new skill other than Hydra that I can show you guys really quick, just because it's just a new skill that I haven't shown off. But it's just fun to mess around with lots of skills. Now, some skills have a cooldown. You'll see that even if I activate Hydra, Frozen Orb is on cooldown. So certain skills will have a cooldown that basically is like a global thing, which is kind of unfortunate. I wish they each had their own individual cooldown. But our whole goal right now is just to progress in the game, get some extra levels, make sure you have 156 strength, so you can have access to this. You don't have to get it right now, like the strength requirement, because you won't have access to dropping this until hell difficulty, but it's just something to keep in mind, as this is going to give you a huge amount of survivability. But if you want to still run the Leaf, totally run Leaf. It can definitely be used up until like hell difficulty, until you get something good. It's a really, really, really great item that's super hard to replace. Also, you could start picking up some items, any like Jared Stone, Clasp Orbs, any like caster items. Sometimes you can get +2 sorceress skill levels, and you can also get faster cast rate in life. This is just one that happened to drop, and I was like, that's not too bad. Like, if I didn't have the spirit, this is a great another thing to have. Getting ideally cast rate, life, and plus skills is what you want. Generally, these won't like roll like really insane. Like, you can get like a +2, and then you can get some extra great stats on it. But usually these won't be like the best for in-game unless you get some insanely lucky rolls on it. But like Oculus is kind of what we're looking forward to getting, but that'll be a little bit later. But yeah, pretty much just keep on playing the game, craft lore, craft smoke, and eventually we're going to craft spirit and our shield, but craft a spirit as well. These are all really, really easy items, although the Lum rune as a drop, it's just not the easiest, so you might have to start upgrading your runes. And like we did counters for a really long time. These are all the runes that we acquired, and some of the runes, again, I'll link this in the pinned comment, but it'll have all the recipes to like upgrade from this rune to the other rune. It's basically just 3 of any of the runes, but some of them will require a specific gem to get to the next tier, and that's all. Let me actually show you this. This actually should be something I show you, because yeah, again, this will be in the pinned comment, but you'll see that to go from this rune to the next rune, it tells you exactly what you need, and then like as you get further into the crafting, it will require like a higher tier gem. But it's not anything like too insane. It's just that you'll have to use some of these gems or just get them. And I would say don't really trade for these gems. These aren't really worth anything, like in terms of the chip gems. Some of the runes will be worth something, but none of the ones that are like used right now are worth anything. Also, if you craft a spirit, there are random rolls in it. We'll get into that like maybe later, as I don't want to make this video too long. But basically what we want is the higher number on the faster cast rate. You'll always get the 2 to skills. The rest of the stats really don't matter too much on the item. But that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this part of our example. And next time we'll meet up, I will probably be doing hell difficulty. And do whatever you want for the skill tree. Like, don't feel like you're locked to just playing Fireball. Try out other things. You have 3 respecs. And even if the skill isn't very good, you can scale the skill to be like so much better than it is by just getting negative resistances to your enemies, which is a huge thing. Now there is it's kind of a bug, but it's more so like they fixed it so it works properly. So how Cold Mastery works is it wouldn't like break resistances as it does right now in the game. Right now it actually works better than it should. But that might be something that does get fixed in the future. But right now, Cold is arguably the best build to go for Sorceress, and that is because Cold Mastery basically is hugely buffed. But I will be going Frozen Orb and Fireball, but eventually I'm just going to go Frozen Orb because I'm going to be able to go super, super fast, and I'm going to be primarily playing with groups. However, if you cannot break, well, if you can't break the immunity, eventually we're going to be crafting a really, really expensive item on our Mercenary, and he will basically carry us through the game on things that we cannot kill. But because in the very beginning our cold damage might not be the highest, use static field on enemies to reduce their HP really fast. So go up to enemies and find an enemy, because this is really important on any like elites. You can see static field is great, and then our Mercenary will pretty much clean up most of the stuff. And don't forget to cast all of your buffs, because the duration will get longer. Like energy shield, and then again, this was an optional thing. I really like it. This one lasts super long, and with the frozen armor, all of these will last a lot longer, and they'll get better because we have like plus to all skills. Remember, that's what you're looking for. Plus to all skills, faster cast speed, as well as life on your pieces of gear. But anyway, yeah, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this part. If you guys are confused or lost at any point, definitely let me know in the comment section below, because I'm going to try to address these in the next part of our playthrough. But yeah, you're basically just doing the game all over again on the next difficulty, which just makes things harder, and things will have extra resistances, and they'll do more damage. But try to get resistances on some pieces of gear. If you craft this, you're pretty much good to go on Nightmare. And then once we get to Hell difficulty, we're going to have a lot better gear. We're going to hopefully get some Amaras, which will have more resistances, and maybe a Shaco for extra skills and extra survivability, and hopefully we'll get Mage Fists or Frostbirds as well. But that'll be for the next part. Just keep on playing through the game. We'll talk more about how to optimize your gear and what items that you should be looking for when you're trading or getting, so you can trade for these other items later online. But anyways, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this part of our play session in terms of like showing you guys mechanics. I know this time we didn't really play the game, it was more so kind of just like explaining things, but that is very important in this difficulty as things do get harder. But anyways, thanks for tuning, guys. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on your way out, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one, and I'm out. Peace.